Hello there folks, welcome to the studio, my studio here in wet and windy Derbyshire here in the UK. It is lashing it down good and proper out there, which could sometimes affect the internet connection. We are broadcasting here live. Originally this is broadcast, it's currently 3:40 in the morning, feels like it. 3:40 in the afternoon here in the UK on the 16th of March 2022. So if you're watching this live, thank you. If you're watching it after, thank you. Whatever time of day you're watching it in your part of the world, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, because that's one of the most important things you can do with any YouTuber. That simple subscription and pressing the notification bell really does mean quite a lot. So if you've not seen me paint before, my name is Matthew Granville. Fetch your cloth. My name is Matthew Barber. I'm looking forward to doing some watercolour painting this afternoon. We've got a couple of examples of my pictures around the studio. That little sort of video you saw at the beginning was a bit of a flavour of the virtual workshops I've been teaching for almost 2 years. As of next weekend, it's 2 years since I started teaching live workshops, which is crazy really. I've been teaching in watercolours for a long time. Since about 1997 I started teaching sort of local art groups, but I've been teaching virtually online for about 12 years, but live workshops I've been doing for 2 years. And we've got one coming up on Saturday the 19th of March. You can see some information just down at the bottom of the screen here, or you can see it here as well. It's going to be a beautiful scene of Venice. It's a picturesque cafe in the beautiful streets and canals of Venice. Do make sure you book a space for that workshop. It's a £10 workshop, and you can take part from anywhere in the world basically, and I will teach you how to paint a beautiful watercolour painting from just 3 colours. Not all these colours, just the 3 colours you can see here. So it's going to be a red, this is alizarin crimson, this is French ultramarine, and this one is cadmium yellow. So 3 primary colours and 3 brushes, a large brush, a medium brush and a small brush, and those 3 colours, and you will produce a beautiful watercolour painting. This one's a size 20, this one is a 10, this one's a 6. That's all you need. That's all you need for that workshop. Link in the description, folks. If you're watching this after the 19th of March, there's always one happening pretty much every weekend, either Saturdays or Sundays. Again, link in the description. Have a look, book a space. If you can't be there live, it really doesn't matter, because you can take part at any time once you've purchased it, which is pretty cool. How many people in the live chat, because we are live here, how many people in the live chat are actually attending the workshop, this one, the Venetian Cafe on Saturday? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up, give me a yes. Talking about thumbs up, give us a thumbs up, folks. We've only got 32 likes at the minute. Let's try and get that to about 50 likes. That'd be cool. 50 likes and I'll start painting. Yeah, is that a threat? 50 likes and I'll start painting. Come on, give us a like, folks. And also, if you want a big shout out, in the chat while we're live, don't forget you can use super chat. Now, super chat is us YouTubers' way of being a bit cheeky, because it's a way of you sort of donating to us. We sit here for free, we do this, we enjoy it. It's a good crack, it's a good belting crack. What? That's a bit of Derbyshire fear there. I'm sorry about the language. Kat's attending, Betsy is, Vanessa, March are also attending the workshop, and Brian is as well. So if you're attending the workshop on Saturday, thank you so much. Don't forget super chats there if you want a big extra special shout out. We've got 50 likes, bang on, so I suppose I should probably start painting. Let me show you the sketch for this one. So it's a bird in watercolour, and this particular bird is going to be a green finch. A green finch, yes, which is a pretty common garden bird, certainly here in the UK. Rest of the world, I don't know, but we're going to enjoy this. Have a look back on the YouTube channel, you'll see loads and loads and loads of birds that I've painted. Feathered variety, obviously. I've painted quite a few of them, which has been good, which has been really good. So that's always been nice. That's always been a nice thing. So thank you for that. And also a big shout out to the first You've broken the ice, Tiffany. Thank you. You've donated $2 to the Watercolour TV. Matthew Palmer needs to buy a new shirt struggle. Thank you so much. Keeping the paint flowing. Tiffany Shoemaker, big shout out to you for all your support. Thank you so much. Means an awful lot, it really does. But yes, so that was the sketch. Now, if you want to sketch this thing in, feel free just to pause the video at this point and you can sketch it in. It's a pretty straightforward sketch, folks, nice and simple for this one. So animals, I've always enjoyed painting animals for many years, and birds are a favourite. There's no doubt about it. So this is the actual sketch on the watercolour paper. What we've got here is a 1/4 imperial sheet of watercolour paper. This is stuck to a board with masking tape. It's a wooden board and it's on a slight slope as well, so this means I'm pretty much ready to go. Quick chat about materials for the work, for the painting. It is a demo, it's pretty quick. If you want to do something a bit more relaxed, that's when you want to book onto one of these virtual workshops. And again, it's going to be a beautiful scene of Venice that's coming up on Saturday the 19th, but there's always one happening pretty much around the corner. So I've got my own range of materials. I'm very lucky. I've developed them over the past kind of 20 years or so. Here we've got some of the Matthew Palmer collection squirted into the palettes. We have Skin Tone Light, Skin Tone Dark, which is just on the edge of the corner of the palette here. We've got Natural Yellow Light, which is a bright yellow. We've got a darker yellow, the sandy yellow we've got here. This is just called Natural Yellow. You can see there's a slight difference on the labelling of those as well. One's a little bit darker than the other. We've also got some Natural Grey. Natural Grey is without a doubt the most common colour. Why is it common? Because it's the colour of shadows. Yes, you can buy Payne's Grey. Payne's Grey is like painting with pure black. It's something to avoid. Certainly something to avoid is Payne's Grey, but Natural Grey is made from primary colour, so it's really nice. It's a really nice one. White paint. I've got some white paint, which is always useful, and this is the new version of white that we sell. It's a 2022 remix, basically, and it's a beautiful opaque colour white, so that's certainly going to get some use a little bit later on. We've got the 2 natural greens as well, which are here. Now, if you look at a photograph, just do an online search of a goldfinch, you'll see that they're not necessarily goldfinch, greenfinch. They're not necessarily got a huge amount of green. There's yellows and greens kind of all mixed together, so it's a mixture really. So on this particular picture, my first thing to do is to grab a fairly big brush. This one's the size 20 brush, and I'm just going to use water here, and basically with a clean brush I want to wet the entire sheet. And what I want to do here is I want to put a background wash on. I'm just going to take away the background, the white paper. So this paper is Matthew Palmer watercolour paper. All the products we're using are all products I've had a hand in the development of, or I've designed myself, including these brushes, which we've not officially launched these yet. So late spring 2022, you'll see these new brushes coming out on the market. Keep a close eye out for these, they're going to be beautiful. So we've got a nice wash of water. That's had a good couple of coats of water on there, folks. It doesn't want a huge amount, just a fairly decent amount of water on. Beautiful. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick some colours for the background. So first of all, it's worth saying having some kitchen paper standing by at the side of your palette is always good for wiping that brush on. That for me is an essential, okay? So let's take some of the dark skin tone. So there's a light skin tone there as well. This is the dark one. It's a nice kind of terracotta tone as well, which is really nice. Just give it a bit of a tap on the kitchen paper. That's always good to do. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to twist this around the background, folks, and let it just spread. Let it spread. If you've ever photographed birds from a distance, you've got one of those nice high-powered lenses. You've probably noticed how the background tends to go a little bit blurry, a little bit out of focus, and that's what we're trying to capture here, a sense of depth, a sense of depth. Now, it's a case of cleaning the brush at that point, wipe off the excess water, and then what we're going to do here is go for the green. Now this is green light, natural green light. Again, these are colours I've designed to replicate nature. Natural green light, either a wipe on the side or a tap on tissue. It's worth saying that the workshops that we do on a weekend don't use these colours, they just use standard colours. And we'll twist the green in, we'll let it mix with the dark skin tone, and will just become part of the background, and let it spread, let it just do its thing. It's a beautiful colour palette here. These colours do work quite nice together, and it's just a really nice way of creating an interesting sense of depth, out of focus, that kind of thing is what we're trying to achieve here. Yeah, thanks for the likes, folks. We've got 70 likes. This is during the live broadcast. Let's try and drop it up to 100, shall we? There's about 150 people watching as I speak live, which is really good for an afternoon. So thank you. There's obviously nothing on telly. Bro, I like that. That nice bit of depth is always quite nice. What we'll do then is we will go over to the palette again, and we're going to change brushes. This time we're going to go for a small brush. This one is the size 6 brush, and we're going to take some of that dark skin tone again, and this time we're going to do a little bit of a splatter around, just a little bit of a splatter, just to give a bit of, let the paint spread, just gives a bit of incidental stuff. You can see the splatter. It kind of suits the vignette. Now, one of the colours what I do use quite a lot is that dark skin tone. It's quite a natural tone as it is. If I mix that with some grey, you get a nice dark, quite thick here. Now, just take a moment to have a look at this brush. We can see how much of a beautiful point that brush has got on it. There we go. And just while that's having a few seconds to soak in, just want to put a bit of a shout out in there for Carol Eyre. Carol Eyre has just donated £4.49 of your finest English pounds. Thank you so much for that, Carol. Big shout out to you. Very grateful to yourself and to Tiffany. You are keeping the paint flowing and you're keeping the lights on as well. So again, if you want to shout out, folks, it's just a case of dropping a super chat on there. Thanks for watching anyway. It's obviously an optional thing. It's an optional thing. Of course it is. Let's go down to here then, and let's drop in. Let's get a bit closer. We can zoom in a bit closer on this one. And let's drop in some of this sort of distant, slightly out of focus branch. Now, this brush is a size 6 brush, but it's extremely pointy. We've got 88 likes. We can get a few more than that, I know. Let's just work up here. And you can see I can drop this paint on while everything's just sort of a little bit damp, and the paint's spreading, it's softening, it's spreading, it's working really nicely here. I can make the paint darker by adding more grey to it if I want to, and as it starts to dry I can just add a bit more detail. I don't want to be dropping a lot of detail into the branch where the bird's perched, because it's not about that. Rotating the board's preventing me getting my hand all over the picture, so keeping it on the side there, and that's working quite nice. It's still quite damp, but look how you've got that sort of depth effect. It's starting to happen, and as that starts to dry off, I will be adding more strength in colour, so literally straight into natural grey. If you want to read more about these colours, there's 14 colours in the range. Just head on over to the website, which you can see at the bottom right of your screen, right down here. There it is, watercolour.tv, and click on the natural paints page of the art shop, and you'll see all about them and all the different colours and why they are very important. How many people in the chat use these colours? I'd love to know. Let me know. Pop your comments in the comments box below. Let me know if you use these colours. So I'm adding a few shadows to this just as it's starting to dry. It's just that little bit damp still, which is nice. The paint is spreading. It creates an out of focus effect, a depth effect, which is really quite nice. I'm surprised you can't hear the rain. It really is coming down today. At the minute, it's better. It's better to be inside, I would say. Brill. That's probably just about where I want to be with that. We'll move on to the bird. I'm just going to do a little bit of splatterage around here, just a little bit with the grey. You can see the paint's not spreading nowhere near as much, and that's because it's just not as wet. It's just not as wet. So, but that's quite a nice background. I like the background. Big shout out to Roger Cleaver. Thank you, Roger, for the £4 donation again. You know, it really goes a long way. It does. It buys a tube of paint, it buys a new camera, whatever. It's very generous of you guys to keep that paint flowing. And this is something what I would always say if you do watch any live people on YouTube, you know, give them a subscribe, give them a notification bell, and give them a super chat donation, because we all do this sort of thing for free. So thank you so much. And to Marchan as well. March, just like Roger and Carol and Tiffany, are all loyal followers of the Matthew Palmer watercolour adventures that we go on. So thank you for that. The summer is coming, so we've got some good adventures coming up. So yeah, thanks to March, thanks to Roger as well. Okay, so it's nice. It's got that nice softness to it. So I'm going to start to drop a few colours into the bird. It's still a little bit damp, but it is a good time to get that paint on. This paper's cotton. It's pure cotton. It's 100% cotton, which means that the paint is absorbed. So we've used a 20 brush. We've used a 6. Let's move on to a 10 size brush. And for this, we're going to go for a nice bright yellow, because there's quite a lot of yellow in a green finch. So we've got some natural yellow light, but you could use cadmium yellow for this, nice and strong. You can see that on the brush just how strong it actually is on there. So we're going to go straight in and add some detail to the actual bird. I've got the kitchen paper at hand here. It's a little bit damp, so I'm being a bit cautious about where I put this. Quite a bit around the beak of yellow, so I'll bring that in. It's quite thick paint here, so I'm not too concerned about how long it takes me to blend this thing in. So that comes right around the breast, which is nice. It goes at the back of the eye. This is a lovely brush to work with, and we also see quite a rich yellow on the tips of the wing. Now I've sketched in the wing, you can just about make that out here. So we'll get that nice yellow coming down almost the shoulder, if you like so. Also, tail feathers have a nice bit of yellow. So that's got a decent chunk of yellow in there. Let's get a little bit under the belly as well. Perfect. A little bit down the back. And then I want to leave that as it is for the minute. Let's give it a tilt so you can see. And let's jump over to the palette. We'll go straight into the green. Natural green light. It needs some green. It's a green finch. It's not got a huge amount of green, if I'm honest, but it has got some green in it. So natural green light is the colour that we used in the background. So that's going to go in just the same. And it starts to creep up on the shoulder of the wing there. A little bit coming around the back of the head, around the eye. So I can put this paint on quite freely, quite loosely, without being too concerned about washing it in, because the paint is designed to be reactivated really as much as you want. So that's got a big chunk of colour. You can see the green, you can see the yellow. Now it's a case to get water, just water, over the kitchen paper a couple of times. So I've got this damp brush, and I can now spend a little bit of time blending, using water to blend that around the eye. And literally I'm just washing it all together, just literally washing it all together. Keep popping it into the water again, keep adding a bit of dampness to your paint, get that paint moving. So that's given us quite a nice background, and you can see just how easy it actually blends in. It doesn't have too much problem blending in. It's because it's thick paint, it's nice quality paint, it's quite nice quality paper as well, which does actually make quite a difference. You know, having a good paper is quite important. It is. I love how the paint has gone all nice and soft down here. I love how that all nicely blends in. It really works nice, don't it, that? And that's just starting to dry, which is quite good. Nice. Okay, let's get over to the palette then. And what we'll do here is we will just simply take the darker yellow. This one is natural yellow, which, if you look at that colour, doesn't look very yellow. It's a sandy colour. It's a sandstone colour. It's designed for cottages and sandy beaches. Really nice colour for that. But on animals, you see it quite a bit. And I'm going to drop a little bit of this into the beak. Let it mix with the yellow. Look how pointy that brush is. It's lovely, isn't it? And then I'll also grab just a touch of some red. Now, any red would do here. Cadmium red, crimson, any red. Just a little bit of red. And there's a bit of pink just creeps into the beak there. Just a little touch. There we go. So that's quite nice. That's at a stage pretty much where it's ready to be left to dry. I want to start to pull some sort of darkness into this at this particular point. It definitely wants a bit of darkness in there, without a doubt, and that's going to give us a lot more interest. But just before we do that, I just want to drop a little bit of a shout out to Irene Style. Thank you, Irene, for the £4.49 donation you just sent through on Super Chat. It's amazing. Thank you so much again. Thank you for your continued support. So Irene, and lots of people that have donated, lots of people that are watching, do actually take part in my live virtual workshops. We've spoke about these quite a lot already. Over my shoulder here is a painting actually of a... I'm just talking while this is drying. Remember, this is live. If it was not live, I'd cut this bit out. So you can skip this bit on. Is a picture of a butterfly. Now, this butterfly was actually painted a couple of weeks ago on one of these virtual classes, and you can just kind of see the sort of style of painting that you actually get. So really quite nice, aren't they, these things? Very enjoyable things to do if you've not had chance to take part in one. You really need to give them a go, folks. But this was a peacock butterfly on lavender. Lots of you guys watching, I know, pretty much know, have actually taken part in one of these things. The painting that's over my shoulder right here is a painting that is going to be given away during the live broadcast that's taking place on Saturday the 19th of March. If you've booked your space, this painting, it's an original painting of mine. It'd be well over £200 in the gallery. That's going to be given away along with a second picture as well. There's loads of cool stuff happening during the workshop. So yeah, just grab a space. You can't go wrong. Back to this. It's looking nice and dry. Dryish, kind of. Is it me or is it moist? Who said that? Let's get some grey. Let's get some grey in there, shall we? Some natural grey. We're going to use the size 6 brush for this. Natural grey is quite important for the shadows and various things. There's the grey. We're going to take a lighter tone, which has got more water, and a heavier tone. Yes, if you do take part in a workshop, a Saturday, Sunday workshop, it's much more relaxed, isn't it? I'm not rushing through, it's very steady. Using the lighter grey first, we're going to pop some shadows on this bird. Well, let's get close into this. Can't go wrong. First of all, across the top of the head, you tend to see quite a nice dark area. So let's go straight into that. Across the top of the head there. All this is going to make such a big difference, folks. Do stick with us. Don't go anywhere. Down the side of the beak. Now if you notice, the paint is still damp here, which is really good because it's allowing it to mix easier. Down the back there. Clean the brush, a couple of taps on kitchen paper allows the paint to spread. Where's your light coming from? Says Robert. Or is it Bernie? That's the most common question that I get asked. Where's your light coming from? If anyone's in an art group and you've sat watching people like myself do live demos, then you've heard that phrase because it's just, everybody says it. Where's your light coming from? And the other one, which I love, is, did you wet it first? These little grey markers are quite nice, aren't they? It starts to put a little bit of detail in. Stick with us. Anticipation is half the fun, apparently. We've got a light grey, we've got a darker grey going off in the palette here, which is nice. And I'm laying the paint down while it's all a bit damp. Is it me or is it moist? That comes down here, which is quite good. And sort of comes down the breast a little bit. You can't say breast on live YouTube. Let's bring that down. So all this is, it's giving tone, it's giving form, it's giving shape. The stronger grey, remember there's two greys in the palette, the stronger grey starts to creep underneath the wing because that is really quite an important shadow, because that's the one that starts to give the depth effect. That'll give us the separation, you see. A shadow, it'll give us a shadow. Now if you struggle to blend in paint, just clean it, give it a couple of taps on tissue. No more than 2 taps, any more than 2 taps and it's kind of too dry. Blend it in. There you go. Beautiful, beautiful. Right, less is more. Let's pop a little bit more of this on, shall we? Let's get into that beak, shall we? A little bit of grey down the edge of the beak. Finches always have a little bit of character, don't they? To the mouth, to the beaks. They got a bit of an attitude on, they have. And that's because that little sort of kink up there. Finch. Taking shape, happy with this, folks. It's all coming together. Can't go wrong, really, can you? Fabulous. Okay, let's go darker. Let's go darker. Let's go thicker with the grey. Let's get some of those nice markings on that wing. Beautiful, beautiful markings on the wing. So for this, it's a case of making the paint thick and heavy. Oh, Jessica. Sorry, I just spotted this one. Jessica Day has dropped in a $9.99 super chat donation. Thank you, Jessica Day. Love the little flying Superman emoji. Pretty good. Thank you, Jessica. You're amazing. Very generous donation. Means a lot. It really does. Okay, markings in the wings next. It's still a bit damp, which is good. Which is good. Like watching paint dry, this, isn't it? Let's just bring that up there. It is a little bit dark still. A little bit dark, which is good. Still quite strong paint. It's still a bit damp as well, to be fair, which is quite nice because. But it's a damp day. It's a damp day, so the paint's not drying very well. Now to get the trusty hairdryer out. Fab. What else have we got then? We're going to pop some little markings around these wings here. So the edge of the wing is actually grey. It'll grow on us. But what we'll do with that is we'll clean the brush, we'll wipe it on tissue, and we'll give it a blend. So you can use a damp brush at any time just to encourage the paint to mix, to flow, all that kind of stuff. Got some nice stripage going off down here. Got some lines going down the wing there. Again, this is all using that strong grey paint. I love how it's all still damp and workable. It's really good. Really nice. Now, if I go slightly drier with the brush and give it a little bit of a pinch, so it goes a bit spiky, we can lay down some of the sort of dry brush feathers that we have around the underneath here. Gives a bit of texture. Also down here as well. I think it's just at that stage where it's just about to dry, so I can quite easily add a little bit of extra marking here and there. Can anybody hear the rain? It's quite relaxing painting in the rain. The sound of the rain on the glass roof. Like that. It's taking shape. Let's come back a touch with the camera, just a little bit back with the camera. Beautiful, beautiful. Looking nice, that, folks. Getting towards the stage where we want to be thinking about bringing in some more vibrancy, a little bit more colour, but not a huge amount. And yeah, happy so far with what we have achieved together, working as a team here. Good. Okay, let's spend a little bit of time working down on the feet. I need to give that a bit of time to dry, if I'm honest. That needs to kind of soak in. You can see the paint's wet still because the studio lights are bouncing. But let's come down to the legs. And if you've done your homework in birds, if you've watched Jurassic Park, you know that these guys are related to the raptors. So they have like a sort of crocodile texture kind of thing going off. Does this guy know what he's talking about? A slight pink tinge, slight pink tinge. You don't know what you're talking about, Palmer. What we'll do is we'll get some of that dark skin tone. And we've got the grey. We've got the grey. So let's use the grey first. Get the grey. It's the same one I've just used. Natural grey, 50 shades of grey, all that jazz. We're going to go straight in and paint in this leg here. We'll pop a shadow down one side. But where's your light coming from? Put the shadow down the right side. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. Doesn't matter. But I'm putting the shadows on first. Which goes in quite nicely just down there. Fab. We'll go straight into that dark skin. I'm not gonna, that's Derbyshire. I'm not gonna clean the brush because I want the colours to mix, so it's a shame to wash it off. So we've got that in there. And then what we'll do there is we'll clean the brush. And just a gentle highlight creeping through. We're also going to go really quite dark. I've got these beautiful, beautiful pointy brushes. Look at this. This is a brush of mine. If you like your detail, this is a Matthew Palmer branch and detail brush. And using a good strong bit of grey on that brush. It's a reservoir, so this kind of holds the colour that feeds the tip. Holds the colour that feeds the tip. That sounds about right. Beautiful for doing the fine stuff. Look how dark that colour is. You're getting those beautiful claws coming in there. And we'll also get that eye in as well. Let's drop in the eye, shall we? We'll keep an eye on that. We'll get close into the head. And let's just, while things are a little bit drier now, let's just drop in a bit of a, there's a bit of a nose there, a bit of a nostril. You've got to get your nostril in. These brushes are like pens. They're really beautiful things to work on. Or work with, should I say. How nice that goes in there. Fabulous. Love that. Okay, so the eye then. What we'll do is we will paint quite a dark area. The stronger, the better. There's the eye. Get it so you can see it. The light's reflecting. There you go. Look at that. Happy chap. Happy. Happy as a bird on a branch. Let's just pop a few little flicks up there because I love using these brushes. I'm sure if you've had a chance to use these brushes, then I'm sure that you have had a chance to enjoy, have the pleasure of using them. They are really nice things to have a go at. To have a go at. A little bit of texture, bit of dry brush. Just starting to bring in some of those nice little bits of detail with your brush is what it's all about. Creating texture. Pop some wrinkles on the stockings. Like Nora Batty. Who? And who's that then? We've got these really definite like sort of lines that creep on the, I can't believe it's still damp. It's a damp day though. It's definitely a damp day. Look how you can create lovely texture. Nice. Well, that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with what we've got so far as colours are concerned. Let's start to think a little bit about bringing in some extra detail on the branch. So I'm just going to use a little bit of grey here, mixed with a bit of dark skin tone. It's kind of just all a bit mixed up here. I know the feeling. And what we'll do is we'll just kind of come in and drop in a little bit of random shadow to these branches, just in a few places. It's not about the branch, we've said that before, but it's nice to bring in a little bit of detail here and there. Maybe a few extra branches just sort of weaving the way around the background there. Looking forward to getting some highlights in this. Looking forward to some highlights. Are we all? Keep adding more and more layers of grey paint. Little shadows underneath. Is he gone? Is he gone? He's gone quiet. Just listen to the rhythm of the falling rain. Right, it's that time of day to get your speakers up and running, get your smart speakers ready. Alexa, play Rhythm of the Rain. Jason Donovan. Not the original. Apologies for that. All I'm doing, folks, is just simply laying down little detail textures. That's all I'm doing, creating little bits of detail within the textures just to give a slight interest in colours. And that's shaping up quite nicely. What I need to do at this point is I need to give this a dry. I've got a drying tool over here. Talk amongst yourselves. It's kind of just here, look. The sound will go off when I dry this because this mic I use has got a filter that cuts out any background noise. So, yes, this is like watching paint dry, and this is a good time to think about booking onto a virtual watercolour workshop. This is the next one that's up and coming. There you go. So yeah, the audio kind of cuts away at that point. So that's nice and dry, folks. Nice and dry. Right. Yes. Let's crack on. So looking good. Happy with the background. The splatters look nice. Everything's gone in well. We're almost at a stage that we're going to bring some white into this, a few highlights, but I just want to pop in a final little bit of darkness and a little bit more texture for this. I'm going to be using one of my many other special brushes. We've got a huge collection of brushes, including these. These are the fantastic watercolor brushes that I designed. It's like a modern take on the fan brushes, and these are gorgeous for texture. This small one's going to be really quite nice for this, actually. Pop that up there. Pop that up there. And what we'll do is we'll take a bit of grey. There's some grey. See how blue it is, by the way? It's quite a cold grey. It's a cold grey. Stipple it, and look how it's gone spiky. It's gone spiky. On the tissue, remember that? Bit of tissue. And we're going to use this to create some feather detail. We'll get a little bit closer in for you here, so you can see the detail in all its person, well, its glory, should I say. So let's just start to work down the back here. This is lovely. I'll show you this on the edge of the paper, actually. It kind of does that. Great for animals, animal portraits and things like that. Really nice brush for doing that sort of detail, which you can just about make out on the edge there. Bring this back into play. And always on the bottom of a bird, you always get a nice bit of feathery detail. Can you see how this is giving like all these little individual lines of texture? It's really quite nice, actually, for that. I'm happy to see that on there. I'm chuffed for you. Good. Right, let's get a little bit of extra dark in this because it needs to go darker. This is just a grey. A second layer of the same colour will naturally give us some extra darkness, dark under the wings. Now remember, this is quite a quick picture. Darken the eye a little bit. It's always a good thing to do. So I think personally, I think that the longest bit of this picture will be doing the actual sketch for most people. So have a little think about, you know, getting the sketch ready and then just sit down and paint along. I know I'm working pretty quick on this, but that's because it's a demo, folks, and it's just a nice thing to do. It's a nice thing to do. There's a bit of grey on the tips of the wings there as well. And let's just get a little bit of shadow underneath here. Nice. Now I want to put some white into this next, because white's going to really make this thing pop, but we can see where that extra dark's gone. If I tilt it this way towards the camera, you can see that extra bit of dark's gone in. Let's just pop a bit more shadow on that beak. Right there. Brill. Fab. I'm going to use that fan brush again, actually, to pop a little bit of texture on the branch there. White paint's always good because it allows us to add a nice bit of detail, and it just wants a little sort of dry really for a second. So let's just come back with the camera. Let's give that a second to dry. And just to quickly mention, if you are, I'll say it one more time, if you're thinking that you'd like to have a go at watercolours, not sure where to start, these live workshops are great for that. The painting that we're doing that's up and coming Saturday the 19th of March is the next one, as I'm live here, but there's pretty much one each weekend. This painting here of this Parisian cafe is kind of a similar, it's not the same at all. This was actually taught on a live workshop about 6 weeks ago now, but this kind of shows you the style. We're doing a Venice one with the bridge in the background, the canals, so it's this kind of nice style of watercolour painting if you want to give it a go, folks. Again, there's a link in the description if you'd like to book on to that one. Quick blast with the dryer. That should do the job. So white paint is going to change this massively. I've got my own brand of white paint, and we've worked very hard to get this white paint fluid, so it flows from the tube, as you can see there, and also the fact that it remains fluid, so it actually remains fluid and it doesn't permanently dry, and you can actually use that colour, you can use that white paint to actually paint quite diluted. You can use it quite diluted, so you don't have to worry too much about the paint being very hard to paint with. It's got a nice flow to it. Okay, so I'm going to be using that branching detail brush for this one, which is the pointy one. We'll obviously wash out the grey, and we'll just mix it with a tiny bit of water, and we'll load up the brush. There it is, got that beautiful white. It's liquid white, but it does let you paint quite fluid. It's got a lovely fluid flow to it. Now, at the same time as using the white paint on this brush, I've also got the number 6 or the size 6 with some water on. So I've got the two brushes in hand. One for adding white, one for washing it away if I feel the need. So we're going to start off by popping in white all the way along the edge of the wing. Notice the little blob that came off then. Straight back. And then with that damp brush, the 6 brush, we can spread that colour in a little bit. Which is really quite nice. It's really good. A few little white flicks down here. Hope you can see these because they do make quite a difference to white. I'm sure a lot of you know that I'm quite a Big fan of white paint. Let's just get a little bit of white in these, in the legs. Next to the grey. So I'm working quite diluted, but the white's still holding up, because if you're not sure what I mean by that, if you've ever used white paint before, it has a nasty habit of disappearing when it dries. So the white paint here is going to go in quite nicely on the beak as well. We'll go across the top edge of the beak, down the edge of the beak there. Being very, let's get close in, but being very careful around that eye. I think we need to get a brighter highlight in the eye. And a little bit of white just around that bottom. It just brings a bit of light. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Brings a lovely bit of detail to that. Love that. Bit of a white collar. Just random white flicks of highlights. And it's a game changer. It's a big game changer, is the white. You can see it just following the shape. If you put white on and it's too aggressive, then that's where the number 6 brush is handy. Just to, like there, that blob that kind of dropped off the brush, I can just ease it in, look. It no longer matters, does it? But I love how the eye has brought it all together. Let's come back a bit with that. The white in the legs. Need a bit of water. Like so. A bit coming down this back tail, or wing tip, should I say. Little bits of white just here and there. And I feel it also wants some white coming down this back edge, almost in a dry brush. Puts a lovely feather texture on. That is really nice. That, again, folks, if it's too harsh, too aggressive, just get a little bit of water to help to soften it all together, and it really does come together quite nicely. It's quite addictive doing this. And if we look at the bird's bottom down here, there's a lot of long hairs. The down feathers on the bird's bum. You get lots of them. Little wispy lines. Good, that makes quite a striking difference, don't it? Those little fine little bits of white and little bits of texture really do have quite a striking effect on the picture. And I love that eye. The eye really suits it. I've got a mount here. I'm just going to zoom back on this so we can see it from. Look at that, isn't that lovely? Beautiful, beautiful bit of watercolour in. Bit of watercolour in. Let's pop this on, this mount here. That always makes a difference, don't it? Let's come back a little bit with the camera so we can see what we're doing. There it is. Yeah, that's a green finch. That's a green finch. A greeny yellow tinge to a green finch. Sign the picture down here. Maybe I'm going to sign this one Van Gogh. It'll be worth a fortune then. Don't do that, will you? You don't want to be doing that. Matthew Palmer 2022. Fabulous. We're in the future, aren't we? 2022. Who would have thought we'd even get this far, eh? We're in the future. Anyway, I hope that was a bit of escapism for you. I really do, because just something nice to enjoy, and I really hope it's inspired you to have a go at watercolour painting, including, you guessed it, the virtual workshop. There's one this Saturday the 19th of March, there's one the following Saturday, and then we're back onto the Sundays. Do book a space. Links for everything we've spoke about is in the description below. I'd love to see you paint a picturesque cafe in beautiful watercolours in the streets and canals of Venice. It's going to be an absolute belter. This painting here, folks, was the gorgeous Greenfinch. It's made a lovely watercolour vignette, or as some people like to call them, vinaigrettes. It is come out really nice. I hope you've inspired to have a go. And as Carol says, beautiful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, folks, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I will see you very soon for some more watercolour painting. Take care.